YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I brought you guys a brand new video today, and today we're gonna jump into the Isle of Armor brand new moves. There are a handful of meta-changing, game-shaking moves that we're gonna cover in this video, including some really cool ones like Flip Turn. There's a new bug move called Skitter Smack, and many more. Some really strong ones as well that I think could change competitive Pokemon, as I said. We're gonna break down all those moves, talk about some of the Pokemon that can learn them, and I'll show you exactly how you can get them right here. I will tell you guys, I'm live in front of the aDrive Army right now with almost 6,000 people watching our charity marathon for the Isle of Armor, but I thought it'd be fun to make this video and kind of talk about everything. You could give this dude the Armorite Ore. I don't think I have enough anyway, but this is where you're going to get all the different moves for the various Pokemon. But I'm actually going to use Cerebi.net as our reference to show you guys all the moves and all the Pokemon that can learn those moves. So let's swap over to Cerebi.net and we'll go through all the moves one at a time. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these moves. The first one we've got is Expanding Force. So Expanding Force is a new Psychic type move that is going to attack the target with Psychic Power. The damage goes up if there's Psychic Terrain. It actually does more damage if there's Psychic Terrain, and it actually damages all opposing Pokemon in that case. It's an 80 base power move. I think actually this is going to be decent for a lot of Pokemon, just because Psychic is base 90 power. So for any Pokemon that utilize Psychic Terrain, like an Indeedee or something like that, it's just going to make more sense to do that. And there's not a ton of other Psychic Terrain users. I mean, Lele is not really going to be viable here. But for both Indeedee male and female, that 50% damage increase and the terrain boost is actually pretty significant. And then anytime you pair it with a Pokemon that has terrain, like I said, like I'm assuming Hatterene, does it learn it? Yes, Hatterene. That's a big pickup for Hatterene. You'll lose a little bit of power, I think, on your max move, but being next to Indeedee is going to deal a lot of extra damage there. So I quite like that. I think, oh, only Indeedee male learns it. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if that's actually just Indeedee male or if it's both Indeedee male and female. That's interesting there. But something to note there. So either way, I think this move could be really good for Pokemon that use Psychic Terrain and also Pokemon that are just offensive Psychic types, because it's pretty low risk since you're only losing 10 base power on what would be the regular kind of damage output of Psychic. The next move is Steel Roller. Now this is one I think that could be really cool. It's a massive base 130 power attack that actually destroys the terrain, and it fails if there's no terrain. So this is really cool if paired with a terrain user. I want to see if Duran is actually going to learn this move, because that's where I think it could be utilized really well. But it does not look like Duran is one of those Pokemon that can learn this. That was the first Pokemon I thought of. But there are some cool Pokemon that can take advantage of this to get some strong Steel type moves, to get those max defense boosts from Max Steel Spike. I think Sandslash using it could be cool, but you really do have to pair it with a terrain setter. So I think when you look at the various terrains, maybe something like a Magnezone would be nice in VGC, because you can utilize that, but I believe it is a physical attack, so you're going to generally want to stick to your special attack stat. Something like Delmise could be really cool, pairing it with something like Rillaboom to boost its grass moves and also get the powerful Steel Worker instead of using its Anchor Shot. But again, I tend to think that, you know, it's a little situational. I think it's good for a max move because you're going to get that higher max base power than you would out of something like an Iron Head. So not the best move, but I think it has a lot of potential. I was really thinking that it was going to be great for Durant, but it doesn't even learn it, which is a disappointment. Scale Shot here is the new Dragon type move that's only got 25 base power, but it hits 2 to 5 times, and it actually boosts the speed and lowers defense of the Pokemon using it. And it is a physical attack, so you have to keep that in mind. For Pokemon that I think would benefit using this, I think you can run something like, I mean, Kingdra could run physical, but Sharpedo could use that, getting that speed boost. Flygon getting that speed boost could be really good for a Pokemon that can generally, you know, really appreciate that. But I tend to think that these 2 to 5 turn moves are a little bit lackluster, because they're a little risky. You might not even get all the hits, and if you don't get all the hits, it ends up being kind of lame. You don't quite deal enough damage there. I don't necessarily anticipate this move being all that useful based on the Pokemon that I see that can learn it, because most of these have better options going for Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse or even Dragon Claw. So I'm not anticipating Scale Shot to be all that significant. And Cloyster and the Skill Link Pokemon don't learn it, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But definitely interesting move for the Dragon types. Meteor Beam is one that I am really stoked about, because Meteor Beam is a special type rock move with 120 power. Now, it's a 2-turn attack, much like Solar Beam, but you can always use a Power Herb to ensure that you can activate it first. And does Colossal learn it? It does. Big buff to Colossal. I competed with Colossal, and it's incredible, but it had to use Ancient Power, so its max move, G-Max Volcalith, was pretty weak, but now you can have an even stronger G-Max Volcalith attack with the special attacking Colossal, with its steam engine and a weakness policy in competitive Pokemon. Most rock types are physical attackers, so it's going to be pretty irrelevant for most of them. But for Colossal as a G-Max move, that could be really, really strong, as you just want to hit as hard as you can with that steam engine, weakness policy, G-Max Volclith. I think that's a really neat move there. And I think I saw, yes, Lunatone also learns it. Another Pokemon that kind of benefits from those special attacks, which is quite nice there. The next move we've got is Shell Side Armor. Of course, we already know about that. That's for Slowbro. It's going to deal more physical or special damage, and it could also poison the target. We can take a look at exactly what that poison chance is here on Cerebi.net. And it looks like the chance of poison is... It doesn't say the effect rate yet, so we might not have that yet. So we're not quite sure there. We do have Misty Explosion, which is basically the Fairy type Explosion. It's only base 100 power, and it is a special attack. So you can use that under Misty Terrain. It gets a little bit stronger. And I'm not sure if we have the details on what it goes up to in Terrain, but it might go a little bit stronger there. I don't necessarily think this move is something that you're going to see people use, though. I just think it's a little too situational. And the only Misty Terrain user right now that doesn't set it with a max move is Weezing. And most of the time, you're going to want to utilize Neutralizing Gas instead. So I'm not anticipating Misty Explosion to be all that impactful. We do have Grassy Glide. I think this move could be really good. Under Grassy Terrain, you get a priority move that is a physical base 70 power attack that actually gets boosted automatically in terrain and gets priority. This could be a very good move for Rillaboom, and it does learn it. Big, big upgrade for Rillaboom, being able to be very strong under that Misty Terrain, Grassy Terrain, and give it priority there. Drum Beating, I think, is only 80 base power, so giving it this move, Grassy Glide, instead, I think could be really good. I could see something like a Flapple utilizing it, because Flapple's pretty strong, but its Grab Apple is just probably too good to pass up on. I don't necessarily think a ton of other Pokemon are going to use it unless you really try to, you know, utilize it with a Grassy Terrain user. I think Rillaboom is probably your best bet for this move, but you're obviously welcome to experiment if you pair any of these with, you know, a Grassy Terrain setter. You could do something where, like, you give it to a Pokemon that Dynamaxes, utilizes the attack, and then, you know, maybe when their Dynamax is over, you can do it. So if you don't want to run, you know, Power Whip on Dhelmise, you could use it on Dhelmise. But again, I think Rillaboom is really the key here. And we also see Zarude here, which is cool. We're going to get him in a few weeks. What's up, Huffy? How's it going? The next one we've got is going to be Rising Voltage here, a new Electric-type move. The user attacks electric voltage rising from the ground. The move powers doubles in power when it's in electric terrain. So, gives you a base 140 move in terrain. Again, our only terrain setter in this game for electric terrain is Pincurchin. So that's something to note. Being able to deal out that kind of damage is really good for something like a Pincurchin, but to utilize it next to something else, I could see this being a really good move for like Alolan Raichu next to Pincurchin. That could be really cool, right? Because Alolan Raichu in electric terrain has Surge Surfer. It doubles its speed. It's going to be really fast, and it actually will hit really hard with this new move. So I think if you paired Pincurchin and Alolan Raichu together, you got a really cool strategy there that you can utilize to deal some pretty big damage. You've got Terrain Pulse, which is basically Weather Ball, but for terrains, right? So it's going to change the type of the terrain. It's going to deal double damage. And it's a decent move. I don't anticipate it getting a ton of use, though, if I'm being totally honest, unless you utilize it on a Pokemon that already sets terrain, which would be like a Pincurchin, which has another move. You know, I don't really see us using Terrain Pulse too often, but definitely pretty cool for a Pokemon that guarantees terrain. Maybe Indeedee could utilize it. But again, I think you're better off with that Psychic move. You've got Skitter Smack, a new Bug-type move here, which is a physical Bug-type attack that lowers special attack, much like Struggle Bug. I'm not really thinking this is going to be super strong. I mean, it seems like it's pretty widely distributed here outside of Bug-types. Getting those special attack drops can be quite nice, but because of its low base power, it's not super good, and most Bug-types have a better option for stab for their physical moves, whether it be Mega Horn or Lunge or U-Turn or any of that stuff. So generally, you're not going to see too much use here. Lowering special attack stat is quite nice, but again, I just don't think it's that viable on most Pokemon, as most of these Pokemon have better options. And to be honest, as much as I love Bug-types are not the best offensive type to utilize in competitive. Burning Jealousy here, the new Fire-type move, is an attack that leaves Pokemon burned if they had their stat boosted. We obviously know Dynamaxing boosts your stats. A lot of those Dynamax move, so you can burn things, but again, I think the risk and reward factor here is just too high. I think for the most part, you'd want to take advantage of a higher base power move than the chance of burning something. I think there's some situational uses here for Burning Jealousy, but I just think that it's going to be a little meh in that case. I think that you're probably better off just relying on, you know, like a flamethrower or a heat wave in competitive. I just think this move might be a little lackluster overall. We've got a Lash out. This is actually one of the best new moves. It's a move that is going to double in base power if the stats are lowered, but I thought I remembered reading that this move actually breaks screens and stuff. I know that one of the moves like broke screens. That was a mistake. Okay, that was a mistake because Devon had DM'd me yesterday about it, and it was Lash out. It must have been a mistake. It must have been a mistake. So it doesn't have that extra effect. Okay, so Lash out here is a dark type move that doubles in power if the stats are lowered. That could be kind of good, especially against other Dynamax Pokemon. So if it does indeed remove those screens and stuff, that would be incredible, but I'm not sure. It doesn't say it on Cerebi. I think it did say it, and then now it doesn't. So I think that might have been a misunderstanding there. And shout out to everyone saving the sub-train and stuff, by the way. I will shout you guys all out here in a bit. The next move we got quite a few. We got Poltergeist coming up. Poltergeist is the new ghost type move that is actually very, very good. Physical ghost type move, 90 base power. It attacks targets that have their held item. If they don't have a held item, it doesn't work. But most Pokemon do have held items in competitive. Very, very good. But Dragapult does not get it. Golurk will benefit from it. Trevenant, you know, maybe even Delmise, so it doesn't have to run Phantom Force, Runerigus, etc. But unfortunately, Dragapult does not get this new move. Marowak will like it. But again, without it having... Dragapult was really the one that needed this move, Poltergeist. I'm sorry, base 110 power, not 90, I'm sorry. Much stronger move, base 110 power, 90 accuracy. And Mimikyu doesn't have it either. So they really kind of took it from the Pokemon that needed it most, truthfully. We've got Corrosive Gas. I thought this was a super cool poison move. It actually burns away the held items of the opposing Pokemon from a poison side. That's so cool, dude. That's so cool. Held items are so big, and this actually adds a new niche for Weezing, being able to burn those held items away. Something like a Tentacool, I could see being able to use that. It burns your ally too. I wonder if that would activate your Unburden. That could be kind of cool. But this is a really cool move with very limited distribution. But I kind of love those moves, you know? I do quite love those moves. We've got Coaching here, the new fighting type move. It's going to basically be bulk up for your ally. Pretty cool. If Hitmontop learns it, I could see Hitmontop utilizing it as a support Pokemon. I could see Scrafty utilizing it as a support Pokemon. Maybe... Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't necessarily anticipate a lot of these other Pokemon utilizing it because most fighting types are pretty offensive, so you're not going to really want to take the time with your fighting type to boost your ally. But I think Hitmontop and as I had mentioned, you know, maybe Scrafty are two really good candidates for that. We've got Flip Turn, probably one of the best moves, maybe the best move. It's basically water type U-turn, which is incredible. U-turn in competitive gives you momentum. That's quite nice. I mean, it is a physical move, so that's something to note there. So it's a little bit better on those physical attackers. But so many of these Pokemon are going to benefit in single battles with this move. Sharpedo. I mean, so many of these Mons, this is probably the best move we've got, or at least one of the best ones. Being able to basically pivot out on some of these Pokemon. Barraskewda, massive, massive move there. Primarina can use it with an Assault Vest. I mean, you can utilize it with Sharpedo, Milotic, a defensive Milotic. Vaporeon can pivot out instead of using Baton Pass. Blastoise can use it as a support Pokemon in single battles as a Rapid Spinner. Very, very cool stuff. I think this is very good. I think that's probably one of the best moves. Triple Axle, a 3-time hit ice move that does a little bit more damage every time it hits. Only 20 base power. I don't necessarily think this is that good. It's a physical move, which is good, because otherwise you use Icicle Crash or Ice Punch. I just don't think it's going to be that utilized. I just don't think it'll be that good. I think maybe it's good for a max move for some of these Pokemon, but most of them have a better option. I guess you could say maybe Weavile, but I think Icicle Crash, the guaranteed damage output there is probably better. Dual Wing Beat, really cool move, 40 base power move, which could get powered up on something like a Scissor with Technician. So you gotta like that. Big damage there. Some of these flying types can use it, but it is a physical attack. So really it's going to be utilized with Technician, which is what Scyther and Scissor can do. Otherwise, probably not going to be that good overall, but a cool move nevertheless. We got less than a minute left on our Subtrain team. Talonflame could potentially use it if you don't want to use Brave Bird because you don't want to lose your damage output, but generally people are going to run Drill Peck or something along that line. We've got Scorching Sands, a great ground type move. Much like Scald, has a chance to burn the target It seems as though that effect rate, I believe, is 30%. It's a little bit weaker than Earth Power, but the chance to burn could be really, really clutch for some of these ground-type Pokemon. Scrolling through this list, I could see something like Torkoal running it instead of Earth Power. I could see Flygon running it instead of Earth Power. Claydol, really good Pokemon. Hippowdon generally is a physical attacker, so probably wouldn't want to waste your time with that. Another one for Colossal instead of Earth Power. Centiskorch, maybe. But I think something like a Claydol, Flygon, some of those Pokemon probably benefit the most from this. Not a ton of ground special attackers. And then we've got Jungle Healing, which we already knew. And then, of course, the new moves for Urshifu, Wicked Blow and Surging Strikes. 2 different moves that are going to do different damage. Surging Strikes hits 3 times, always crits. And then Wicked Blow, always crits, hits once, 80 base power. Very cool stuff there for the new moves, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this video of all the new moves in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Some really good candidates here for competitive. I think the big ones, though, Flip Turn. I think Corrosive Ghost is really cool. I'm a big fan of Grassy Glide. I think you're going to see Meteor Beam actually be really good on Colossal. I'm a big Colossal fan. And there is some viability across all these. So it's really cool that Pokemon added in new moves for each of the types. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like the video down below. Subscribe if you guys are new. Get those notifications turned on. And keep an eye out on our channel for more Isle of Armor DLC coverage. If you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to love this video. YouTube, however, thinks that you're going to like this video. So who are you going to choose, me or YouTube? You got to pick one of them. But keep on rocking, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.